Okay, so we're going to go through this note sheet of applications of percent. So we're going to do what we did in the last couple of videos, which is either use proportions or equations to find the percent, find the part, or find the whole, depending on what the problem is asking us to do. So if we look at this first question here, okay, your bill at a restaurant is $42.87. You're going to leave a 15% tip. How much do you leave? Well, in order to know that, we kind of have to set this up. What is it that we need to find? We obviously have the percent. So is this 42.87 the part, or is it the whole? So part of that is kind of rewriting this question. When they say we need to leave 15%, 15% of what? Well, it's 15% of your bill. So what we need to find is 15% of that 42.87. Okay, so this is what we are going to find. I'm going to put this in a different color so you guys can see. I don't know what I just did. We're going to highlight this and do none. And now we're going to do a different color of writing. Okay, so 15% of 42.87 is what we have to find. So now it comes down to, how are you going to find this? Are you going to use the equation method, or are you going to use the proportion method? At that point, I don't care. Okay, so if you're going to use the proportion method, remember that's part over whole equals percent over 100. Okay, our part is what we don't know because our whole is 42.87. It comes after the word of. And our percent is 15 over 100. So after you cross multiply and divide, okay, you're going to get 6.4305. All right, so I'll go ahead and write that on here. 6.4305. Well, we don't write money with 4 numbers after the decimal point. So to write that appropriately, we're going to do $6 and we're going to round that to 43 cents. So we can round it. If you were doing the equation method, okay, 15% would have to change to a decimal. Of becomes times the 42.87. And that's going to be equal to our part. That's what we're finding. So all I have to plug into my calculator is 0.15 times 42.87, and I would get that same answer, this same decimal, which I'm going to round. Okay, so then what is my total bill with tip? So a lot of times with our problems, we're not just going to be finding an amount, we're going to be finding a total. And so what we have to do is find our percentage amount, our part first, and then to get our total, we'll have to add them. So we have to pay the 42.87 for the dinner plus the $6.43 for 43 cents for a tip. So if we add those together, we get $49.30. So that would be our total. That would be our final answer there. Okay. Just going to go to blue all the time. So now, question 2. You buy a pair of jeans at 20% off. How much do you save? So again, what we need to find in order to find the answer is what is 20% of $54. So we can come over here and we can either use the proportion method or we can use the equation method. So if I'm using the proportion method, again, for most of these, we're going to be finding the part. Our percent is 20. Our whole, because it comes after of, is 54. And so then we can cross multiply and solve. If we're doing the equation method, that's going to be 0.2 times 54 equals x. 20% of 54. Either way, no matter which method you use, that answer is $10.80. Okay, so that means we're going to save $10.80. They're going to take that off. So how much do we actually pay for the jeans? Well, if they're on sale, okay, I don't know why this just doesn't stay. That's going to be the $54 minus the $10.80. So 54 minus 10.80 is $43.20. So that's how much we will actually pay for the jeans after they take 20% off. So sales tax in Iowa right now is 7%. That means whatever you buy, you have to pay 7% of that as well. So what is the sales tax you bought on the jeans you bought in question 2? So if we spent $43.27, okay, so the jeans, why doesn't that stay blue? So the jeans cost us actually $43.20. And so what we need to find is 7% of that number to find the tax that we have to pay on that now. So like before, we are either going to set up that proportion or we're going to set up the equation. As you're kind of starting to learn here, we're mainly finding the part all the time. So we have x over 43.2 equals 7 over 100 if I'm doing the proportion. And then for the equation, 7% as a decimal is 0.07 times the 43.20 equals x. Either way, whoops, the answer is 3.024. And like we talked about before, we don't write money that way, so it will round to $3.02. So we will pay $3.02 in tax. So how much did we pay total? Well, now we're going to take the 43.20 plus the $3.02. And we get $46.22. So a pair of jeans that cost $54, after we took 20% off and then added 7% sales tax, the final cost was $46.22. Okay, here's another question. A credit card company charges 22.75% of whatever you owe on the card. If you owe $525, how much is the credit card company going to charge you? So, just like before, what we need to find is what is 22.75% of $525. So we can set up our proportion, or we can do the equation, which I'm not going to set up. You guys know how to do that now. Again, we're finding the part. We have the percent, we have the whole, we're finding the part. So if I do set that up and solve or set up the equation, the answer is 119.4375. Again, we don't write money that way, so if I round this correctly, it is $119.44. That 7's going to round that 3 up. So you are going to pay $119.44 in like penalty fees, basically. So how much am I actually going to pay that credit card company? Sorry, mine went on to another piece of paper. Well, we still have to pay them that $525 we owe them, plus this penalty charge of $119.44. So when you add that all together, you end up paying $644.44, which is a lot of money. Okay, so in the homework, you're going to see problems like this. You're going to find what's on sale. So you have a percent off. You still have to find the percent of that number. It's just then you go to subtraction if you have to find the total. If you have to find the total. If they just say, how much do you save? You can stop here. If they say the total, you have to subtract. You will probably see a tip problem. Again, you have to find the percent of. If they want just the tip, you can stop here. If they want the total bill, then you'd have to add. Okay, you're kind of getting the point of what we're doing here. Sales tax, if they want just the tax, you can stop here. If they want the total, you'd have to add them. Another word that you are probably going to see in the homework is the word commission. They're going to say, how much commission does someone make? If you've never heard this term before, commission is a percentage of a sale. So a lot of times salesmen tend to make a commission. So instead of, for example, I have a brother who works for a car dealership. I have no idea if this is really his commission. I am making it up. But let's say he earns 5% of all his sales. So if he sells a car for $32,000, then he's going to make 5% of that. So that would be 5% of the $32,000. So if you see a commission problem, this is what they're trying to get you to get at. And so then you would set up your proportion or your equation from there. Again, you would be finding the part. So just if you see that word commission, you know what that means. And this is, so we're basically doing what we've learned just in story problem form.